Jonathan Brown.
Hello, Brownie.
Yes. Great to be here, boys. I'm back on the road, so I went home for a couple of days, pat the kids on the head, and that's enough for me, Billy.
Last time we saw you, you dropped the kids off at school.
Yes, I did.
At
and
the
then
pool,
we're at the pool. We're at the pool. That's right, at school.
He nearly got his joke.
Nearly there. Well done.
How are you, old cock? Now,
I'm good,
what
mate.
have you been up to?
Well, yeah, we had the weekend, so I did the game last night.
Q Clash?
They had Sunshine Stout, the Pineapple Grapple, and the Q Clash. So not a great sort of field of names to come up with. But anyway, Brisbane did it again. They belted them. They belted the little brother. Dimmer did all he could during the week to build up their rivalry. And he sort of likened them to the bad boys of Detroit back in the late 80s and 90s, I think. Remember Dennis Rodman was there and Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumas, I think.
Yeah.
Not a big basketball man. But anyway, he tried to liken them to that. But the only problem is the players got to back it up.
Yeah,
and
they've
the
got
coach
to
comes out with
arrive.
a statement, got to arrive. So Cam Rayner was like a cannonball. Jared Berry, who else?
Ashcroft.
Dunkley, Ashcroft, Lockie Neal. They just dominated.
Underrated footballer, Dunkley.
Overrated?
Underrated.
I was going to say.
I think he's the toughest footballer in the competition. You know, he's unbelievable to watch. He's much loved behind the walls, and everyone talks about. I think what goes under, we don't talk about it a lot, is the big recruits that the Lions got. They got Cameron, Neal, Danaher, and Dunkley. And I think Dunkley's providing as much value as the other guys. No question about it. Now, Lockie Neal's won a couple of Brownlow medals. Danaher's done what he's done. Charlie's been a star. But I think Dunkley's brought a huge amount of value to the Brisbane Lions. And obviously he's done it in the big games for the Bulldogs and obviously the Lions as well.
33,000 there last night, which is fantastic because it was also the NRL's Magic Round.
That's right, yeah. And you wouldn't be taking your kids to that, I don't think. She looked a little bit rough. They had to close the Jim Beam bar at half time.
Who's serving Jim Beam by? Exactly. Oh, mate.
But imagine me, there 3 games in a row, Billy. Here you go all day at the one ground.
They had 8 games at the ground, didn't they? At
did.
Suncorp.
Suncorp.
Yeah.
So it's not like Gather Round where they exit and then come back in
That's
again.
right, no.
You just stay.
And Gather Round
the
is a
Jim
bit
Beam
more.
bar.
Gather Round was a bit more family friendly, I think. So I think you actually made it to your seat. I don't think they made it to their seat, but it was a big night in Brisbane. So 33,000 because it's public holiday today up in Queensland. So great for the game up there. Good for the promotion of the game. They've just got to start to get some better contests to make it a true rivalry.
How are they going to go when the new ground's built? Because the new ground's right next to Suncorp.
Yeah, it is.
Where the golf course is.
Yeah, well, it's a bit like a sports like we've got here, isn't it?
Yeah,
the precinct
people
there.
everywhere,
Yeah,
Brownie.
it'll be fantastic. So it's thriving. The sport up there is absolutely thriving. It's great to see, and we need new stadiums because the old Gabba's a shithole, even though Billy still holds the record there.
I'm happy
We're going to
for it.
bowl it over.
When it gets bowled over, that means it can never be broken.
When you kicked that score
Yes,
there
on
against basically a reserves team,
Steve Reynoldsson and David O'Keefe.
was the dog track around it?
Yeah.
So you didn't kick it at the Gabba anyway.
Jim, I was
It's the
playing,
old ground.
I was playing at
a
centre
pair.
forward and I was kicking them from the centre.
Well, Bill, it was 150 metre long ground.
Well, I was kicking them 100. Have a look at it. Do yourself a favour. Don't worry about Mobland or what's the other show we watch?
Mobland's a good show. Watch that on the plane on the way down.
Oh,
yeah, good
big
is it?
going on there.
Yeah, plenty happening. He's good at Tommy Hardy, isn't
Tommy
he?
Hardy,
He's
Tommy.
an absolute beauty. So
Found that kid.
wouldn't mind. You wouldn't want to run him in the dark alleyway. That's for sure.
I tell you what, I did found the kid in the cooler room.
He's just an idiot, Brownie.
Come on, what are you doing?
What were
mate?
you most
I was on the
fixated
same
about
page.
that kid in the cooler room?
Well, he got chopped up.
yeah, but what were you most looking for?
He
You
looking
took
for
a
his
still-
doodle. He supposed to cut that off, but I couldn't find it. But what
Mate,
about
it was in the
Maeve? How
freezer.
dangerous? How dangerous, Maeve, the old girl?
Maeve, she's a ripper, the old Irish girl. Yeah, she's dangerous. Don't worry about that. So
I did love the Brisbane
that's Helen.
Bears.
Is that Helen Mirren?
Yeah, Helen
Yes,
Mirren.
Mirren.
Yep.
Apparently, Helen.
Still talking about
Still
Moblands.
very frisky. Apparently,
yeah,
Helen
loves it.
Mirren.
Well, I don't think so anymore. I think she.
Oh no.
I think she likes a kill. I think she likes a kill rather than a.
What do you think of that?
No, don't mention her either. Hey, the Brisbane Bears
They're
jumper
your
was
vintage.
good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good. The old Brisbane Bears, the Teddy Bears. So it was part of their commemorative jumper, and I actually liked the Suns jumper as well. I like the all red. I like the Suns. Did you see all the all red? So it was big. There was a few of the reunion. There was a few of the Lions boys at a
Who'd you
reunion there
have?
last night. I don't know. I didn't turn up.
Oh, John,
I got wind that Pikey was there, so I'll give it a wide berth.
Pikelet.
That's smart.
Oh,
But
it's good
no,
work.
no. I was going, is the footy been a bit ordinary?
Yes.
Too many ordinary games. I saw 2 howlers on the weekend. Like the Freo game was unwatchable, and then yesterday I saw Hawthorn and Richmond. And if it wasn't the celebration of the Hawks 100 years, so we could get around all the legends, and that was a great story. But as a bloody game of footy, it was only just.
Yeah, it was. A lot of ordinary teams. Not many can win it.
How many?
Well,
Actually, tease it.
I'm going to do a swap.
Just tease it.
I had 4.
Oh, hey, what, you still?
I had 4, but I'm going to delete one and bring one in.
Well, you're about to throw to a break, are you?
Well,
Oh, we're going.
he's been going on for about 7. You wouldn't know. He doesn't even know
Bit
how long.
early to go for a break. Bill.
We
Bit
do.
early.
No, no,
No,
keep
so
going.
keep
All right,
going.
then.
Come on.
We'll tease that because we're going to do that when we go
geez,
to a break.
I'm going to forget who my teams are when I come back, mate.
But you're
I've had a
doing
few head knocks.
an interview, I know that, with Fags last night, and you got
Yes.
heckled.
I was getting
Have a
heckled.
listen.
Fags, another big occasion, and this must bring bittersweet memories from this game last year that you once described as the most courageous win you've ever been a part of.
Yeah, it was. We had two ACL injuries last year, and
Get out of here.
lost stars to this.
Mate, we're doing an interview with Fags, right? But then the Suns, some of the Suns cheer squad come up to me and start rubbing me on the head and carrying on.
Not the head.
So anyway, it was all part of the fun, but we got through that all right. So
Get out of here.
get out of here, you little
That
buggers.
happened
anyway.
to Punter.
Yeah.
I reckon it was at either Old Trafford or Edgbaston during the Ashes over there. He's doing lunchtime on the ground. On air, he turns to the host and said, "You better let me go because I'm about to jump the fence and belt that bloke up."
Mate,
He was getting heckled
Well,
by
I
one
was
of the
getting
bloody
that. I was
Barmy Army.
Peter Landy, remember that? The kid got in his throat and
That's
kicked
right.
him in the arse.
He did give him a good. He did give him a good whack up the bum.
And Dermot, he was doing a cross one night
on the footy show.
and
That
he
was at the
Footy show.
casino.
He got
it
fired
was,
up.
yeah.
What about Geordie Lewis? Did Geordie Lewis fire up the other
Oh,
night?
he did.
in the
On
studio?
Footy Vince.
We're not allowed to talk about it.
Well, it was on social media. So what do you mean we're not allowed to talk about it?
on Bernard. Oh,
on
no,
Bernard.
he got real annoyed.
I saw a bit of that.
fired up.
Circus. Yeah, I remember before a grand final. This wasn't on air, but there was cameras there. We come out. We used to train the day before the grand final. We would stay at the Parkview on St Kilda Road.
I had a place up the road.
Yeah, and a guy, as we were coming out of it, there was a Collingwood supporter there and started heckling us. As a few of us were sort of about to walk across the road, there was about
Albert
5,000
Ground?
people at the Albert Ground. And our old doorman, Brian Cleary, was a tough old bugger. He is, this bloke got a bit physical, and Brian's turned around and dotted him.
Oh,
and dropped him.
he hasn't.
Dropped him cold.
you, Brian.
Dropped him cold, the doorman, and then he grabbed me, put the arm around me, he said, "Let's go, big fella."
Well, guess he couldn't knock any of his teeth out.
All right, so
I
He didn't have
the
it.
tease.
Now, a tease.
Righto.
How many teams are left in it that can win it? Huh?
Well, he already gave the answer 4.
So we'll just get the 4 out of him next.
Yeah, how many?
More Jono Brown next on the rush hour.
Get out of here.
Jono Brown, the legend, is stuck around JB.
Now, how the famous Brisbane Lions side, 2001 to 4. How would you have gone with any of your teammates celebrating the way the Hawks do now?
It's interesting, isn't it? But I had Jason Kamanis. So,
yeah.
Aker, but now Aker didn't do the handstand, so he did the one hand over the mouth, but he used to do the handstand post game.
He did.
And people used to say that to us all the time. And you go, "How do you cope with that?" And I go, "Well, it means we're winning."
Yeah,
so
you
I'm
won
putting
the
up with
game.
I'm putting up with the handstand. And when it was happening a lot every year, most of the time we'd win the premiership. Unfortunately, it didn't happen that much late, and so we sacked him. We didn't see enough of the handstand.
we got Lethal's. This is how Lethal
Summation
put
of it?
his sacking. Yeah.
Can I tell you in one sentence, Aker's a pain in the ass around the footy club, and once he wasn't going to help you enough on the field, you get him out of the joint.
Bang!
What about Lethal?
Lethal.
I was in the meeting where he got sacked, actually. So there was 12 of us, 6 coaches and 6
And what, you had to
There's
vote?
6 players had to vote.
And
Lee,
trial was
Lee-
cancelled.
Lee was too smart. 'Cause Lee didn't want to get blamed for it all. So Lee goes, "Right, only one way to settle this. And we've got to do a vote." And he goes, "Okay, starting with the person to my right, we'll go around the table." So knowing full well by the time it got to him, it
didn't
was
matter.
11
All
zip. And he
over.
goes, "Oh, well, I don't need to vote. The room's spoken."
Come on, Lethal. I
So
heard a
he
story.
actually never had an official vote.
That's funny.
I heard a story about him with Mel Michael. Is that true once that he rang him up and said,
Have a listen. Have a listen to
Who
him.
were we
Will.
talking about? It was a late scratching. I
no,
know-
no, Reece Stanley.
Oh,
got
yeah, that's
injured.
right. You said
Yeah, good. I like it.
What happened to Mel?
You said Chris Scott wanted down a quarter time to rest early. He said, you're injured. He said, no, I'm fine. He said, no, you're
I
injured.
wouldn't
Please
say
stay
that.
around.
You deserve
Got
it.
your own medicine, Bill.
You
I
deserve
wouldn't have
that
said that.
We
medicine.
come to round 22. We're playing Sydney at the Gabba. It started raining, and Leigh was a bit concerned, so he just rang up Mel at home about an hour before he would have jumped in the car. Said, Mel, you're crook. You're not playing tonight. He goes, no, I'm feeling fine. He goes, no, you got influenza. I'll see you on Monday.
Poor old Mel.
He was scary.
Oh, he was. He was a big
Michael.
bastard.
Did you have him on in intra club?
Yeah, absolutely. I had him. Darryl White was the hardest because he had the Inspector Gadget arms. Did you play on Whitey?
Yeah.
play on
He
Whitey?
might have
Yeah.
been one of the ones when they got the 11.
Of course
No.
he would have.
But he was in long legs, long arms, everything.
Geez, we had great defenders. Lepp was all, you could always get a kick on Lepp because he never manned up on you.
yeah.
So he used to give you a wide
had some
leg
good
run.
players.
Mel
Yeah,
looked
some
like
great
he was
defenders.
angry.
He was angry.
Yeah.
Well, he's powerful too.
Powerful.
Yeah, he was Papua New Guinean heritage,
Yes.
and he was fantastic. But he couldn't. He ended up going. It was funny. I think they put the clause when he retired, and then all of a sudden he said he was sick of footy, and then 2 weeks later he signed with Essendon.
Yes, that's
And
right.
that's when the AFL put the clause in about you can't retire and unretire and go and play for another
Yeah,
club. 'Cause
right.
That's how players were trying to get out of the contract. But what a player he was.
Oh,
The
unbelievable.
biggest of them all was Bradshaw, nearly in the gym,
Guns,
wasn't he?
big guns.
Didn't he have
Biggest
guns?
biceps ever.
He just do what? Curls.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he didn't need to do many curls. He's naturally born that way. But he was strong. We used to have the bench press record was the biggest one we went for.
Yeah.
So
What was it?
that was 155.
Yes.
That was Alistair Lynch. Now, Lynchy slept for 3 years, so that was an unfair total. But I ended up getting him, Billy.
Oh, you did
I
not.
got him 157.5. I
You
got.
know what
on his
the
second attempt.
best at Geelong is? Reece Stanley.
Reece Stanley.
165.
Geez, it's a big lift.
That's a big
The most I've heard is Fraser Garrick. I think 175.
170.
He was
Jimmy
massive.
grabbed you one day.
He very nearly strangled me to death. Now tell me, of the two Scott boys when you played all that amazing footy, which one was madder on the field?
Yeah, I wouldn't trust either of them. I saw one night, the night that James Hird made his comeback after that shocking head injury. That was the no rules game, and the Scott boys. I remember Brad suplexed him. James Hird straight after the first bounce, and then I reckon if they had video cameras at the bottom of the 8 piles when there was punch ups that night, I reckon Chris Scott would end up doing about a season and a half through suspensions. So they were tough boys. They were tough
Ferocious.
boys. They were ferocious. They were great to play with.
Oh,
though.
yeah.
They were. We had a lot of tough boys, but those boys were ferocious, but smart.
Yeah,
Smart
right.
as well, and obviously you can see they're pretty switched on in
Yeah,
the post-game
bloody oath.
press conferences. I love when Chris has that funny. Who'd be more intimidating to do the press conference with, Chris or Ross Lyon?
Yeah.
Ross Lyon, I reckon.
Ross has
No.
started asking questions back, and
He
Chris
has.
does it a little bit. They're
Malcolm
both really
Blight
tight.
used to do it beautifully. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What do you reckon about that then? And they go, oh, I don't know. Well, mate. But Chris Scott, oh, what about the injuries? Oh, we got a list in the paper, have we? I didn't realise we had a list, Scotty.
He's one of the
even-
smartest blokes I know, so he knows full well what's going down at that Geelong Footy Club.
Now, what we
Even
did
Brad
tease-
the other day, there was a presser. Someone started quoting stats. He goes, according to who?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
just cut the bloke off.
Oh, yeah,
The guy's
yeah,
sitting there
yeah.
going, "Oh, I don't know, just got
No,
him in front of me."
he's it's funny, isn't it? When you play with guys, you always wonder because we've got 4 senior coaches. Our teammates are 4 senior coaches. Pretty incredible, isn't it? It shows the legacy of Leigh Matthews and
Bloody oath.
many others involved at senior positions at AFL clubs. But you sort of wonder when people ask you who you thought was going to coach. I didn't think Chris was going to coach.
Yeah,
Obviously, he
right.
was capable of it.
Yep.
But I thought he would have gone and just travelled the world and played golf. They love
Yeah,
playing their golf. I thought Brad would definitely coach. But Chris is just to turn into one of the greatest coaches in the history of the
two-time.
AFL. You just never would have picked that when he was a player.
No, I love them both. Tell me about the 4 teams.
Yeah,
You settled
we
with
teased
4?
that,
So,
Jim.
yeah,
Yeah.
so-
Let's
Teased
get
that.
back to that. Did we
That's
get
right.
carried away, Jonathan? How many teams can win it?
Well, clearly Brisbane.
All right. then.
That's an easy one.
Bill's writing them down. Yep.
I'm
It's
ticking.
only 4, Bill.
Collingwood, the
Yes,
last 2
yes.
grand finalists. And the final 2, I'm going to go with your boys, the Cats. They're always going to be a chance. In 10 games at home, it's a bit unfair, isn't it? 10 games
I
down at the
reckon they've
Cattery.
played 2 games there so far.
Very
They must
good.
have a lot.
Very
Fremantle
unfair.
in round 1 and Melbourne
Yes.
that they beat. So they've got GWS on Sunday afternoon. Though GWS have beaten them the last 4 times
I
down
know,
the Cattery.
I know.
Anyway,
I
let's
know
not
that.
get sidetracked.
Yeah.
I had GWS. And I think most team are GWS thereabouts, but I'll delete them and replace them with the Western Bulldogs.
Doggies.
They're flying, aren't they?
Yeah.
Gee, they're
They've
going
been
well.
impressive, haven't they?
They have.
It's been a win-win. Bailey Smith out of there and Joel Frazier and guys like that being more opportunity in the midfield. So, I just like the way they're going. If they can get Sam Darcy back and maybe Liam Jones into better back
Well,
into
they will
better
get
nick.
Sam Darcy back.
Yeah,
Now they
you
know
just
that.
wonder,
He isn't
and we know Bevo. He's a master at just throwing the magnets around and getting the best out. And it feels to me like they've got a lot of harmony in that locker room now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So
How do they get the most out of Big Naughty? To be that athletic and have that sort of prowess, how do they get the best out of him?
Well, without getting too technical, when he plays in line with the ball, I think he struggles. When he's coming in from the side, he looks good. I think his footwork gets a bit sloppy at times, but when Sam Darcy comes back, I think that'll actually help him. I think he'll be able to get more one-on-one contests. So when is he back, Sam?
No, it won't be for another
few
6
weeks.
weeks.
So anyway, I think it's just some guys can play in line with the ball, like Gary Ablett Senior, and some blokes have to play off the ball a little bit because they don't read the ball as well. Blokes like Billy Brown.
Bill, do you understand any of what Brownie just said?
What the shit?
Well, listen, hasn't had the best of days.
Oh, in line with the ball. The ball's there, you run at it, Dopey. You're doing
You're
a
a decoy forward for
I was
5 or
happy
10
to be that.
Yeah,
I knew
you're a
my
bloody-
spot.
How many goals did you kick for your career?
441. Are you doing a bit of
What, Brownie,
coaching?
you in the 700s or 800s?
I had the I was late 500s. Late 500s. That's all.
Played a
I
lot
was a
more
centre half
games.
forward, mate.
So was I. And then centre back. You're doing a bit of coaching.
I am. I'm coaching my girls up north, the under 15 girls. You need danger money to coach under 15 girls.
Danger
Put it out there. We had 49 girls signed up. So Tuesday, Thursday
How do you
night
get them
trainings.
all in? And
It's a bit hard because I've got
Again,
a couple of girls up around the All-Australian level. Because they're in the Suns Academy and they've got some first-timers. But yesterday, we hit the front with 3 minutes to go.
Yeah?
A lot of parents were there. And I thought, what do I do? I was caught in that position.
You
I thought,
win.
Flood. Do I flood?
Oh, no. You don't
And I
flood.
thought, I just can't. I've got to get them teaching the right way. So I thought, no, I'll play it fairly. Didn't load up behind the ball. They've kicked a goal and they've knocked us over by 5 points the other day. So
Parents
I'm
not
a bit
happy.
flat. Parents weren't happy at all.
Kids
I should have
not
loaded
happy.
up and should have flooded from beyond. But
You might get sacked.
Anyway,
I
it's not
saw an
it's a
ad the other
thankless
day,
job.
Brownie. How many ads are you on at the minute? 4 and 20.
Yeah.
That milk one.
Yeah.
That must be a good payout. Shit, you're doing a lot of that.
Carlton
CUB,
draft, yeah.
Bull Seaman. Geez, you're doing a lot of
Bull
ads.
Seaman.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Bull Seaman?
You used to do something down on the Western District selling.
That was 100 years ago.
Bull Seaman.
I
you
went
got
to one
mixed
of
up.
their conferences. They did one of those.
Oh, no.
Bull Seaman. I'm like, no, that was Huey. The insurance, the car ad.
Oh, yeah. Another one. The broke
insurance
down.
ad.
Yeah.
The car broke down. I was at the footy and I was
Heckle.
copping it on the way. I did one with Daryl Broman. Daryl Broman did the
Big man.
Big
I
man.
worked with the big man on the footy
Worked
show
it, yeah,
days.
the man, the big man.
Did he go over in Germany when you ran through the park with your dodgy knee and no clothes on?
And a tiny doodle. An innie.
It was cold.
Oh, it was cold, was it? It actually withdrew back inside
No, it
his
did
body.
not. Biggest
Mate,
pixel you've ever seen.
Yours is smaller than that kid that was cut up in Mobland sitting in the freezer.
An elbow.
All right, good to see you, Brown Dog. Anytime you want to wander in,
Good on
you
you,
are
boys.
very
See ya.
welcome.
The
Always
couch
a
tonight
pleasure.
on Fox Footy as well.
Thanks,
Make
mate.
sure you
yes.
see the
Jack
brown,
Revolt.
brown Dog on that. Yes.
Jack's going beautifully, doing a magnificent job. And
It was-
Geordie, I'm going to have a chat to Geordie and
Oh,
find out what
yeah.
happened
Got
here a
angry.
couple of weeks ago.